I didn't start with confidence, just a blank page and a version of myself I barely recognized. Dreams felt too sharp, too bright, too heavy to hold, so I sketched them softly, afraid the lines might call me a liar. But the pencil moved anyway, tracing a truth I hadn't grown into yet. Some days the vision blurs, smudged by doubt, warped by pressure, bent by voices that don't know me. But even then I keep the page open, letting mistakes become part of the blueprint, letting fear be written in the margins without a rule in the center. Because becoming someone takes rough drafts, not perfection. And the future isn't waiting, it's responding to every line I dare to draw. I'm drafting my future with trembling hands, with half-formed courage, with hope I'm still learning to trust. I'm drafting my future, not final, not flawless, but mine. A stroke, a quiet declaration. Not done becoming yet. I've erased more times than I'll admit, started over in the same square inch of the page. But each restart held a lesson, a shift in angle, a gentler grip, a better idea of who I might be. The draft got messy, but so did I, and somehow that made both of us real. If someday I meet the person this blueprint is guiding me to, I hope they see every shaky line is proof that I tried before I believe. I'm drafting my future, a work in progress, universe built on every stitch with doubt, lifted by stubborn hope. I'm drafting my future, every revision bringing me closer to the light. Once whispered about the lines aren't straight, but they leap forward and forward is enough. So I turn the page, not finished, not certain, but willing. Because the future doesn't demand perfection, just a pencil, a direction, and the courage to draw again tomorrow. You didn't wake up strong today. Your legs felt heavy, your mind felt louder than your breath. But you showed up anyway, with whatever scraps of courage you had left. And sometimes that's the bravest version of you. No shine, no fire, no perfect rhythm, just the honesty of trying again when your heart was tired. Heroes aren't the ones who sprint, they're the ones who refuse to disappear. You whisper to yourself, maybe just one step, and that whisper became motion. Welcome to 5% hero mode, the setting in you never choose, but always survive when your battery is empty, but your will still blinks faintly. You rise, not fast, but real. One step here means everything. You've run with strength before, but this time is different. You're running with the last piece. You're different and you grow like sunrise. Quiet edges, soft colors, light slowly finding its way back to you. And that pace is still beautiful. You don't rush the days, you don't force the rhythm. You listen to your breath, to your legs, to the little voice that says changing slowly doesn't mean you're changing less. Becoming at your tempo, not the world's, not the clock's, just yours. Becoming at your tempo, every quiet mile, every hidden effort is rewriting who you are. You're not behind, you're in tune with yourself. But you still showed up. There were nights you almost quit, but something small pulled you forward. Those tiny pulls for growth too, they always counted, even when you didn't notice. You are not late, you're late, yeah, you're learning how to carry more light without burning out. And that takes time. Becoming at your tempo, soft evolution with strong intentions. Becoming at your tempo. Keep your tempo, keep your breath, keep it coming at the speed your heart understands. The pain, a quiet glitch, a subtle drag, a kind of tire that didn't feel brave, but pride has its own volume, and mine was too loud to mute. I chased a pace I wasn't built for yet, hoping speed could rewrite who I was. And then it hit, a sharp report from the system I kept ignoring. 1 mile too many, one step too far. I thought discipline meant never slowing down, never stepping back, never choosing caution. Everyone else online looked untouchable, effortless strides, perfect form, no doubt. So I tried to match a finish line that wasn't mine. But strength isn't found in forcing the body quiet, it's found in hearing what it's begging you to learn. And in that moment of shutdown, I realized I wasn't weak, just disconnected from the only machine that keeps me moving. Body error, mile too many, system freezing, dreams buffering slow. Body error, mile too many. I pushed past warnings, I pretended not to know. Now I'm learning the kind of strength that listens first and conquers later. Recover felt like exile, bench dreams, paused routines, no finish line in sight. But healing has a rhythm most runners never study. Gentle repetition, honest pacing, small victories no one claps for. I learned the courage of running shorter, running smarter, running with kindness instead of ego. If I could message the old version of me, I'd write, you did knee deep in learning, heart deep in hope. The road is the same, but I'm different now. Strong enough to stop and brave enough to start again. Slow. I never noticed the way courage hides, not in loud moments, but in the fine print of an ordinary day. In the decision to stand up from a tired chair, to lace up worn out shoes, to breathe deeper instead of blaming the world for the weight in my chest. Those choices never felt heroic, but they kept me moving when everything else stalled. Some days I read my life like a contract I'm afraid to sign. Too many clauses of doubt, too many rules written by voices that don't know me. But buried in the margins are tiny lines that rewrite the whole story. Try once more, rest then return, hold on, this part matters. And somehow those soft instructions have guided me further than every bold promise I ever made. I used to only trust the loud kinds of bravery. Now I know the quiet kind lasts longer. There's courage in small print, the fine line choices that no one applauds, but still reshape your world. Courage in small print, barely visible, but strong enough to keep your life from folding. I'm learning to read the softer paragraphs where hope lives quietly. I've ignored myself before, skipped the signs, rushed the pace, filled my days with noise disguised as progress. But the turning point wasn't a victory, it was a whisper. You don't need to be fearless, you just need to be willing. Oh, I could be. If you look closely, every strong person has a page filled with tiny decisions, ones the world never saw, but without them, nothing else would have happened. Courage in small print, written in tired mornings and slow recoveries, and every step taken after disappointment. Courage in small print, the kind that grows where no spotlight shines, the kind that builds you from the inside out.
didn't know the ground could remember, but it kept the sound of the very first step I ever took. Shaky, unsure, barely more than a whisper on the pavement, but somehow that tiny sound learned how to travel farther than I could. It followed me through hours, through years, through every version of myself.
used to think the future was something you stumble into, a door that opens suddenly, a moment that chooses you. But I learned in the quiet mornings, with tired eyes and shaky focus, that the future doesn't arrive fully built or fully kind. It forms slowly, like clay warmed in the palm, like something shaped by hands that refuse to quit. Every small choice mattered, the run I didn't skip, the page I filled halfway, the promise I kept in secret. And though none of it felt heroic at the time, those tiny acts were the anchors holding my dreams steady. The world never sees the work that isn't glamorous, but the future does, it remembers everything. And the truth I've come to trust is this: greatness isn't delivered, it's crafted, one honest effort at a time. This is a future made by hand, built from early mornings, late nights, and the courage to keep shaping. This is a future made by hand, not perfect, not effortless, but undeniably mine. Every scar, every restart, every shaky step is part of the design. There were days I nearly dropped the dream, too heavy, too far, too unforgiving. But every time I paused, something in me whispered, pick it up gently, not because you must, but because you still can. And so I did, smoothing the edges of a life I'm still learning to love. Oh, one careful touch at a time. If the future could speak, I think it would say, you don't need to be fearless, just willing. Your hands are enough to build what you believe. This is a future made by hand, crafted slowly, patiently, defying the urge to rush. This is a future made by hand, stronger for every flaw, brighter for every setback, real because you shaped it. And I'll keep molding tomorrow until it fits the person I'm becoming. So here I stand, sleeves rolled, hope steady, hands ready. The dream isn't finished, but neither am I. And the future I build will carry the warmth of every effort I made myself. A future made by
My goal has a spinning wheel, you know, the kind that turns right when you think you're close enough to touch it. I used to hate that circle, thought it meant I was behind, lagging, broken in some quiet way I couldn't fix. But the more I moved, the more I learned, loading isn't failing, it's becoming. Some days I inch forward, barely noticeable, like a progress bar stuck at 23%. Other days I jump without warning, moments of appearing from places I swore were empty. And on the slow days, that's when the real coding happens, when patience does the work, ambition forgets to do. I'm not frozen, I'm processing. There's a difference, still loading, but the progress is real, even if the world can't see the numbers move. Still loading, and every quiet try writes another line in the person I'm becoming. confidence like faulty software. But now I know stability grows in the slow updating phase. Strengthens, tells itself one unnoticed moment at a time. And I don't need to rush what's still constructing. If the future could speak, I think it'd say you're not stuck, you're loading. Don't cancel the download just because it's slow. Still loading, but my effort has never stopped running in the background. Still loading, progress is a heartbeat you only feel when you listen close. Still loading, the next level will unlock, and until then this pace is enough. Still loading, so here I stand. Not finished, not wasted, just mid-process. And someday soon when the bar finally reaches 100%, I'll know exactly why it took this long. Still loading, and I'm still here, still trying, still updating into someone stronger. I didn't know the rules, didn't know the pace, didn't know how far I was supposed to go. But I moved anyway, clumsy, unsure, with steps that barely made a sound. No badge, no plan, just a quiet maybe I can. And that was enough to start the engine that never really shut off. Some days looked empty, like nothing changed. I thought I'd stopped, but inside something kept humming, reorganizing the fragments I left behind. It wasn't progress I could see, but progress that stayed patient until I returned. Every slow day, every skipped mile, every almost quit moment, they all kept me tethered to the path I thought I abandoned. I've been in motion since the first try. Even when my feet stayed still, my hope didn't. In motion since the first try, the smallest start built a road I'm still running on. What began as a guess turned into a pulse that never let me go. I met better days, worse days, and days that had no name. But the first version of me, the brave, the messy one, left the trail warm so I could always find my way back. And now I move not to prove anything, but to honor who I was when I first said go. If I could return to that beginner heartbeat, I'd say you didn't know it then, but you saved me. Your tiny start became my entire map. And maybe that version of me would laugh because they never knew how loud their quiet courage was. In motion since the first try, running on echoes of a dream I didn't understand yet. In motion since the first try, not perfectly, not constantly, but endlessly. The journey didn't restart when I came back. It simply continued where my hope had been waiting. So here I am, still moving, still learning, still chasing the promise I made without knowing. In motion since the first try, still in motion tonight. In motion since the first try, still in
Upgrades don't make noise, they don't flash, don't notify, don't announce themselves. They just sink quietly into your system. Every breath, every mile, every choice to show up, even when no one sees. That's future strength loading in the background. My body remembers pieces of who I'm trying to become. A little steadier, a little braver, a little kinder to the person in these shoes. Progress doesn't always move forward. Sometimes it circles, pauses or buffers. But even buffering is a form of becoming, yeah. And I remind myself, just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's empty. Quiet is where potential grows deep. Loading future assets, all the strength I'll need, installing slowly under the surface. Loading future assets, every slow day is downloading something I'll use later. One day the progress will reveal itself, not suddenly, but faithfully. The miles I ran half-hearted, the nights I nearly skipped the mornings. I barely moved, those moments didn't disappear. They cached themselves in the corners of my effort, waiting to activate when the dream gets heavier. Nothing is wasted, it's just waiting for the right version of me. When doubt whispers, I whisper back, let me load at my pace. Every runner, every dreamer, every fighter has a different download speed. Loading future assets, strength I haven't met yet is already on the way. Loading future assets, and when the world sees what I built in silence, they'll call it sudden, but I'll know the truth. All of it was earned quietly, yeah. So I'll keep moving, sometimes buffering, sometimes spurring, always sinking with the person I'm becoming. Future assets, loading in I chased a pace my body never asked for. Too fast, too far, too eager to prove something I couldn't name yet. The morning looked harmless, but my bones knew better. A quiet warning, a tender pull, a whisper saying not today. But I treated silence like permission and pushed anyway. And somewhere past mile 5, I crossed a line I didn't see. Everyone online was training harder, or at least that's what it felt like. Their miles looked easy, mine felt borrowed, taken from a future I hadn't earned. I wanted to level up fast, skip the slow parts, jump to the version of me that didn't struggle. But shortcuts don't exist when it's just you, your heartbeat, and the truth your body keeps. And when the ache turned sharp, I knew it, I'd run past the limit. My body whispered and I ignored. These were miles I shouldn't have taken, steps I wasn't ready to hold, and the ground I tried to conquer only pulled me closer. voice, it was slow and strangely loud. Every doubt echoing, every fear returning. But healing taught me patience in a language I never studied. It taught me to stay, to listen, to rebuild quietly, to start again without shame. We start again. If growth had a voice, it wouldn't shout, it would say softly, your body isn't holding you back, it's holding you together. And for the first time, I believed it. I feel it sometimes, a quiet pressure in my chest, like a locked door humming behind the wall of who I am now. Not open yet, not closed either, just waiting for the version of me strong enough to turn the handle. And on the days I move slowly, I remind myself, not every upgrade shows on the surface. There's a build happening in the background, a silent gathering of strength, breath, courage. Every repetition, every unfinished try, every not today, but soon is adding to the architecture of the next stage. Levels don't unlock through force, they unlock through readiness. And readiness grows quietly in the hours no one else measures. Next level pending, but the progress is real, running under the surface like a second heartbeat. Next level pending, I'm not stuck, I'm sinking with the strength I'm building. When the moment comes, the door will open, not because I forced it, but because I've become the one who can walk through. Sometimes I mistake stillness for failure, but stillness is just the body catching up to the dream. And every slow week, every gentle mo, every pause that chooses healing over ego. Those are the moments that create durability, the kind of power that doesn't crack when things get real. If the future whispered anything, I think it would say, you're closer than you think. Don't rush the door, it's unlocking in your favor. Next level pending, the loading bar may inch, but inching is still becoming. Next level pending, and when the world finally sees the change, I'll know I earned every pixel of it, because the quiet work always finishes loud. So I'll keep moving, not faster, but deeper. Not chasing the level, but becoming the person who can carry it. Next level pending. Next level pending. And that's not a warning, it's a promise. We used to chase in different finish lines, your pace ahead, mine somewhere behind. But the road taught us something speed never could. Strength isn't measured by how fast we break the silence, but by how long we choose to share it. And we choose the same road. Some days you pull me forward, steady as sunrise. Some days I slowed you down, looking for air that wasn't there. But neither of apologized. We adjusted, we would way match the heartbeat of the one beside us. That's how teammates are made, in the quiet compromises. Not faster, just together, that's the speed we earn. Not stronger, just united, that's the power we learn. Side by side, stride by stride, we turn miles into memories. Not faster, because together was already they don't hear the breath you steady for me, or the jokes you throw right before I quit. They don't see how we rebuild each other without needing words, but we know, and that's enough. Sometimes teamwork isn't loud, isn't epic. It's two footsteps finding the same rhythm after a long day that tried to break them. Not faster, just together, the only pace that never betrayed us. Not braver, just supported, the courage we borrowed from each other's breath. If the world races ahead, let it, we'll still get there side by side. Your step, my step, matching not for speed, but for the kind of future we want to reach together. There are nights when even tying your shoes feels like a negotiation. When your legs argue, your mind bargains, and the world becomes too heavy for movement. And still you stand up, not proud, not perfect, just unwilling to disappear from your own story. You've told yourself 100 excuses and believed 99, but the last one, the tiny voice that whispered out, oh good, I can't MOE, that one won the vote. So you step not far, not fast, but honestly, and honesty is harder than speed. One step that doesn't lie, the one you take when everything hurts. One step that doesn't lie, the one that proves you haven't abandoned yourself. You don't need momentum, you don't need courage, you just need that single stubborn inch forward. People talk about progress like it's fireworks, loud, bright, impossible to miss, but you know better. Progress is quiet, it hides in trembling knees and shallow breaths, and the soft click of a door you walk through even when you didn't want to. That kind of strength never makes the highlight reel, but it's the one that actually saves you. You think you're weak because you struggled, you're all wrong. Weakness doesn't struggle, it gives up. You didn't, that's the truth the world won't see, but your heart will remember. One
used to think the quickest was the one who truly won, the runner breaking silence, the one who finished first. But chasing every second left me empty in the chest, a heartbeat out of rhythm, a breath I couldn't catch. I mistook the rush for progress, mistook the pain for proof, and somewhere in the sprinting I owed it my own truth. I watched the others flying, feet like sparks across the ground, telling myself quietly, you should be faster by now. But strength is not a stopwatch, not a number on a screen. It's the courage to go steady when the world expects extreme. It's waking up on tired mornings, still choosing shoes over doubt. It's running slow with purpose till the fear is flushing out. And I learned it the hard way, in the space between two breaths. The body doesn't follow pride, it follows what it needs instead. Speed isn't strength, it's only loud. The quiet miles are what build me now. Speed isn't strength, not when it breaks. Real power grows at a human pace. I'm finding truth in gentler strides, learning strength that stays, not dies. There's a bravery in slowing, a rebellion in restraint, refusing to be measured by the pace someone else paints. My victories got softer, but they started feeling real. A steady line of progress I could trust enough to feel. And in that calm rhythm, my spirit learned to rise. Not fast, but fully, without compromise. If I could tell the version of me who ran through fear, you're strong already, even when you're nowhere near. Because strength is the decision to keep moving through the doubt, not the sprint that burns you empty just to say you didn't slow down. Speed isn't strength, I see it now. Strength is staying when the world leans out. Speed isn't strength, not for a life. Strength is kindness, enduring light. I run with purpose, not to impress, and somehow that's when I run best. So here I go, not chasing anyone, not proving anything, just running where I'm whole. The road is still the roadmap, but the pace is finally mine. Strength isn't in the sprint, it's in the staying every time. I thought beginnings expired, that once the moment passed, the fire would fade too, but I was wrong. The first step I took years ago left something running underneath my doubt, a system I didn't install, but somehow needed tonight. I can feel it boot back up. Step one never disappear. It stayed quietly in memory, waiting for the day I remembered who I was becoming. And when my feet hit the road again, it loaded like it never left. Progress isn't linear. the first step stays valid. No matter how long you're gone, step one still active, still keeping my courage online when everything else goes dark. Step one still active, the reason I find myself moving, even on days I swear I won. What started once never stopped, it just waited for me to return. Some nights motivation logs out, confidence times out, hope gets stuck on a loading screen. But step one doesn't ask for updates, it remembers the first heartbeat, the moment I dare to try. And that memory alone can launch me forward. If I trace the map back far enough, it always leads to that same trembling moment. Shoes tied, fear loud, sky uncertain, yet something in me said, just go. And I'm still going, because that voice never turned off. Step one still active, running underneath every setback, every comeback, every shaky breath. Step one still active, the origin code I keep rediscovering every time I rise. The beginning didn't fade, it became the engine. So if I ever forget who I'm meant to be, I'll return to the line where everything began. Because step one isn't a moment, it's a lifetime still unfolding. We used to run in different directions, your stride louder, mine uneven. Two rhythms trying to make sense of the same road. But somehow your laugh synced with my breath, and the silence between us began to keep time. You didn't say hurry